You are going to experience some of the finest scenery in the Swiss Alps as we take you along on a trip to the top of the Schilthorn at the back of Lauterbrunnen Valley. And along the way, we're going to see the villages of Murren and Gimmelwald, and we'll take you into the fantastic Trümmelbach Falls. In other programs, we'll bring you up the majestic Jungfrau Mountain and over to the village of Grindelwald for some hiking, and then around to Wengen, along with many other shows about the rest of this fabulous country. We're continuing our series of practical guides to Switzerland, showing you how to get the most out of your visit to the Swiss Alps, and we'll be educating and entertaining you along the way. This segment will show you how much you can pack into one action-filled day if you do it the right way. Get another early start for a big day in the mountains, traveling to the back of Lauterbrunnen Valley from Interlaken's east station to the town of Lauterbrunnen, and taking Europe's longest cable car ride up to the Schilthorn Mountain. And the journey getting up there is half the fun. There are some beautiful views of the river on either side as you're going up through the narrow entrance to the valley, so that's quite lovely. If you want to get the best views of the river as you ride along on the train, you've got to stick your head out the window so that you can look ahead and look behind. Otherwise, you're just looking straight out the window and you don't see nearly as much. But with your head out the window, you can also look back up into the valley and see the mountain peaks in the distance. Don't worry, you're not going to get decapitated. This rail segment along the Lütschein River is between Interlaken and Lauterbrunnen towns, and fortunately you'll travel this segment several times in your visit here in Interlaken, getting back and forth to various mountain sites. We're going to show you several different ways that you can get up to the top of the Schilthorn and back down again. The map shows one preferred way to get up to the Schilthorn. You take the cable car up to Grutschalp, and then a mountain railroad along to Murren, get out, maybe have lunch in Murren, and then the big cable car ride up to the top of the Schilthorn. Then you come back down the same cable car, and you can proceed down another cable car to the valley bottom of Lauterbrunnen, and proceed by public bus through the valley back to Lauterbrunnen town. That direction has some advantages that we'll show during the program, but you could also do it in the other way around, starting out with the bus ride into Lauterbrunnen Valley and go up the cable car and then back down by train. Either way is fine. We'll start first by showing you the bus ride into the valley, which is really quite beautiful, and then up the cable car to Murren, and then we'll show you the other route. You'll see Lauterbrunnen Valley is beautiful and looks just as good if you're driving into the valley or out from the valley. The distance is short. The bus ride from Lauterbrunnen town to Steckelberg, where you get the cable car, it's only 12 minutes long, so it's easy. You could even walk it. As we'll show you on the way back, there are some scenic stretches that are worth walking. So the entire journey from Interlaken town by train into Lauterbrunnen, and then bus to the cable car, and then cable car to the top of Schilthorn takes 2 hours in one direction. The bus brings you to the Steckelberg Pavilion, where you can buy your ticket and get in this cable car for a wonderful ride. You're going up the vertical face of a cliff, and you'll have a bird's eye view of looking down at the valley and across at the waterfalls. Ride 5 minutes up to Gimmelwald, then change cars, and 5 more minutes up to Murren. From Murren to the top is about another half hour. And you'll want to spend at least an hour up on top of Schilthorn, and then 2 hours back down again, all the way back to Interlaken where you started. Take time for lunch, and then we'll show you later time for the Trümmelbach Falls. So it's pretty much a full-day excursion. The Jungfrau on the other side of Lauterbrunnen Valley is a more famous mountain, but you certainly do not want to miss the Schilthorn. It is just as exciting. We've arrived in Murren via that bus route and cable car, and now we're going to back up and show you the alternative way of getting here with the cable car up from Lauterbrunnen town to Grutschalp, and then a train ride along the side of the mountain. In this case, we've arrived by train in Lauterbrunnen coming up from Interlaken, And then at the Lauterbrunnen train station, it's very easy. Just follow the signs, go through the tunnel, through the walkway, up the stairs, and you will find the cable car waiting for you. Everything is coordinated and the timing is synchronized. Down below, some old tracks for the previous funicular, and that was replaced in 2006 by the current cable car, which makes an easier and faster ride. You'll notice this aerial cable car has spectacular views looking up into Lauterbrunnen Valley, framed by the high mountains on both sides. To the left, the Jungfrau, the Munk and the Eiger, and in the far distant right, the Schilthorn. The schedules are coordinated so that you get off the cable car and you walk through this small station at Grutschalp, and the train is waiting for you right there. You comfortably get on, sit down, and off you go on the next leg of the journey. It's called the Lauterbrunnen Murren Mountain Railway, and it's owned by a larger company, the Jungfraubahn Holding Company, which also runs and owns the rail systems on the other side of the valley that go up to Wenger and Alp and up to the Jungfrau. This railway first opened in 1891. Originally, the route up the hill was not an aerial cable car, it was a funicular at ground level. The railway is a single track, narrow gauge, and it's about 2.5 miles long from one end to the other, from Grutschalp to Murren. And halfway there's another station called Winterreg. And here you could get off and you could walk part of the way, which is a very easy and pleasant walk. Let's hop off and walk it for a little while to give you some idea of the nice promenade that you can enjoy with beautiful views looking across the valley to the Munk, Eiger, and Jungfrau. It's easy walking on this level path, but really you do get the same view from the train, so I suggest just stay on the train and save the walking for a little bit later. We'll show you a wonderful path. There's one particular reason why this routing might be better for you, getting to Murren by train rather than the bus route that we showed you just earlier, because you want to get up to the mountain top as early in the day as possible. Weather conditions usually are better in the morning in the mountains, less cloudy, better visibility, a better chance for a good view. If you're going to also see the Trümmelbach waterfall, save that for after visiting the top of the Schilthorn. And Trümmelbach Falls are more easily visited from that bus that goes through Lauterbrunnen Valley. It passes right by the entrance to the waterfall. So save that bus route for the return trip and go up there by rail as we're showing you now. To the village of Murren, one of the very few automobile-free towns in Switzerland. So it makes a nice place to walk around, especially with the amazing views that you'll get across the Lauterbrunnen Valley towards the Jungfrau. Murren has several small hotels which tend to be expensive and some traditional guest houses where you could stay. However, there is not much to do here except hike, relax, admire the views, and have something to eat. We ran into some young entrepreneurs with their little juice bar and selling snacks. Clever little kids. You'll be walking through the village and you'll find that walking is the national passion of the Swiss. You'll see locals of all ages passing you by. Notice how many trails lead out from this one spot. Murren sits at an elevation of nearly 5,500 feet and has a population of just 450, but 2,000 hotel beds available, so it could make a very peaceful place to stay. And while you're here, you could try jumping off a mountain with a parachute. Do some paragliding. With an expert, you can fly tandem. You don't have to know anything about it. This fire station is operated by volunteers performing a very important service in this remote wooden village. A common sight in small Swiss villages up in the hills, cows marching through town, but you don't see this in the big cities, so that's why you want to get up in the hills and away from it all. It just takes about 2 minutes to walk from there over to the cable car station to purchase your ticket for the ride up to the Schilthorn Mountain. To maximize chances of clear conditions, it would have been smart to take the first train out of Interlaken at 6:35 in the morning, which enables you to reach the top by 8 a.m. But that means getting up before dawn. Of course, the view from the cable car is magnificent because you're going up to an elevation of nearly 10,000 feet. Now, if you're a short person, you want to get in there and get a window so that you can see well. If you're taller, any place you stand in the cable car is going to provide this great 360-degree panoramic view as you go up the mountain. From Murren, you'll be taking 2 cable cars, about 10-minute journey from Murren to Berg, and there you get off and just follow the crowd and you change cable cars for the final leg up from Berg to the Schilthorn, and that's only about a 5-minute ride. We are just changing cable cars here at the Berg station, but you might want to stop off and have a look at their new thrill walk, which is a cantilevered walkway along a cliff, similar to what we've shown you in our movie about Titless. We ride up the final 5-minute section of the cable car to the top, complete with escalator service. We're at the top of the Schilthorn, which is a fantastic viewpoint for looking at the heart of the Swiss Alps. It's the Bernese Oberland, and you've got the Monk, the Eiger, and the world-famous Jungfrau Mountain. It's really a glorious view, and it's a 360-degree panorama up here at the Schilthorn. It's a must when you come to Switzerland. And the scenery gets more and more wonderful as you see those jagged peaks all around you, covered in snow. Many people consider the view from the Schilthorn even more spectacular than the view from the Jungfrau. The Swiss engineers have done it again with superb facilities at the observation center, including a rotating restaurant and escalators to bring you to the different levels, all run by solar power. Have a meal at Piz Gloria or a simple lunch in the self-service cafeteria while soaking in the amazing view. On a clear day like this, you've got the sunny highlights and the dramatic clouds in the background. Beautiful peaks and valleys all covered in snow. A large outdoor terrace provides an excellent vantage to look back across the valley at those 3 world-famous peaks, the Jungfrau, Monk, and Eiger, whose complete forms can be seen better from this vantage than from close up. And then cap it off with a drink in the Crystal Lounge and imagine watching James Bond in the frantic chase scene from On Her Majesty's Secret Service, filmed here in 1969. There's a convenient diagram points out how you're surrounded by other peaks that are as much as 4,000 meters high. That's about 13,000 feet. We're up at about 3,000 meters above sea level here at the Schilthorn. That's about 10,000 feet. All year round they have snow, they have a glacier. They've added a brand new observation deck with glass paneling on the floor and all around to give you the feeling of being suspended in space, as shown on the Schilthorn website. They call it the Skyline View Platform, and it's included in your admission. The view from the Schilthorn is just as spectacular as the view from the Jungfrau, but different in its own way with that amazing panorama of peaks all around. While the Jungfrau observation deck is about 2,000 feet higher and has that endless glacier, both mountains are covered with snow all year round and give spectacular views of mountains, glaciers, and valleys. Some years ago it was possible to walk out in the snow, although lately those rules have been changed. Maybe the area has just gotten more and more popular, and as you get more people up there, there is a greater need for crowd control. But for the adventurous, it is still possible to hike all the way down from Schilthorn down to Berg and then on down to Gimmelwald. That'll take you most of the day. All year round they have snow, they have a glacier, and there's a restaurant up there too. The Swiss have civilized their mountain peaks. You can sit indoors perfectly comfortably and have a meal or just a snack, do a little shopping in the gift shop. After an hour at the top, you've probably seen enough unless you're staying for a meal. So head down in the next cable car back down to Murren. Together, it's the longest cable car run in Europe. 4 different cable car rides are needed to get down from an elevation of 9,748 feet on top down to 2,844 feet in the valley bottom. So you'll be changing cable cars 3 times on your way down. The schedules are synchronized, enabling you to reach the bottom in 30 minutes. You change cable cars at Berg, Murren and Gimmelwald along the way, gaining different perspectives on the mountains as you travel down. On a sunny summer day, the temperatures hover around freezing, but usually feels very comfortable when you're properly dressed, and you don't even need a heavy jacket on most days in the summertime. Down below we see the small village of Murren nestled into the side of the mountain. You've probably worked up an appetite for lunch by the time you're coming down from the Schilthorn to Murren, so look for a restaurant with an outdoor terrace and a view of the mountains, such as the famous Hotel Alpenruhe. An incredible place to have lunch. We're in Murren, high in the Alps, looking out on the Jungfrau and Lauterbrunnen Valley. It's like heaven. And the food is delicious. They've got a lovely lunch with a variety of light salads or roasted sausages, mushrooms. You can have ham and bacon and onions with the potatoes and an omelet. Big variety. Or you could get a hamburger and French fries. They also rent rooms. It's been renovated recently. They've got Wi-Fi, very comfortable 3-star accommodations with this amazing view looking out across the valley to the mountains beyond. On your way down, you can walk part of the way on a most enjoyable hike. Don't take the cable car from Murren to Gimmelwald, but instead walk it. It's a beautiful half-hour downhill stroll, and you get some amazing vistas of the valley. You'll see other hikers along the way and the rustic cabins of Gimmelwald. So by all means, consider walking that easy downhill slope from Murren to Gimmelwald, and there you can pick up on the cable car once again. In hindsight, at the end of our 2-week trip through Switzerland, many of our travelers felt that this walk was the nicest of all. Perhaps you'll be interested to stop off for a quick look at the tiny hamlet of Gimmelwald with its few scattered chalets for its 140 residents. There are some guest houses here. There's one little store, there's a little restaurant, but really not much. This is as rural as it gets in backcountry Switzerland. Very cute. Then you can resume your journey on the cable car going down or keep walking. You'll see the animals out in their corrals. There's some sheep, there's some goats. It's really one of the easiest alpine strolls with a mild downhill slope that gently pulls you along, fueled by sights so pretty it will be an effortless glide. There are these lovely hiking trails that go out from here, or it's just a quiet little hamlet to relax in. You can check it out online, of course, on the internet. Even if you're not spending the night in Gimmelwald, you could extend your visit. If you enjoyed that little hike from Murren, you could continue on an easy hike from Gimmelwald to Schilthorn that leads you to the end, the backside of the Lauterbrunnen Valley, where the mountains are in your face and the view's superb. One way takes 70 minutes at a leisurely pace, and the path does not have any significant uphill stretches. There's a similar short, easy hike from Gimmelwald would take you into Schilthorn Valley, a quiet, peaceful place where the only sounds come from the bubbling brook. This gives you an idea of how quiet and peaceful it is at Gimmelwald. Even the cats are just lazily lounging around, taking it easy and not caring about any hikers walking by. Unfortunately, nearly every visitor to the Schilthorn misses out on this short, easy walk. They'll just stay on the cable car, change cars, and ride all the way down to the bottom. But you can see this is a wonderful opportunity for one of the easiest and most beautiful walks in the Swiss Alps, or some people like to jog. Another path to consider is the Almenhübel Flower Park, reached by a funicular going up from Murren, and then you walk back down and around. And they have a playground for children. The Gimmelwald website describes it as one of the last car-free villages in Switzerland. Chalets decorated with flowers, a cheese storehouse in the middle of the village, cattle grazing all around. They say it's like something out of a fairy tale. Gimmelwald offers a number of small bed and breakfasts and pensions where you could spend a few nights. And when you're right here at the cable car station, they've got their notices posted up on the bulletin board. So have a look, maybe take a note from some of these images you see on the screen and give them a call. It would not be very expensive and it would be wonderful. The village is so isolated, high, perched up on the cliff, it relies on the cable car for delivery of some basic goods and services, something like a delivery truck. This video was shot during several visits to Switzerland, usually in the month of May, and so we have so much programming to show you, we're occasionally squeezing in 5 pictures to the one frame, give you a lot to look at. The views from the lowest stage of this cable car journey are so fine that they alone would make the day worthwhile. Looking out the length of the Lauterbrunnen Valley and to various waterfalls and that dramatic rock cliff a few feet from the gondola. It helps to get a window position, so when you get into the cable car, head right to the front or to the side, the left side, and you'll be in position for getting the best view and the best pictures. Proceeding down that cable car from Gimmelwald, once you have reached the valley bottom, there's a very convenient public bus that you can catch from Steckelberg that'll bring you back through Lauterbrunnen Valley to the town of Lauterbrunnen. Weather is always a major factor for determining your schedule in the mountains because you might plan other activities if you see it's a cloudy day, such as taking a side trip over to the city of Bern. This is another good reason for spending a few days in Interlaken to increase the chances of getting this good weather that you want. Instead of riding the bus for the entire distance, you can actually get out and do some walking along the stream that flows through the valley bottom. It's the Lutschine River, and it makes a very pleasant stroll. There's a trail that goes right alongside some of it, and then other times the trail brings you into the pastures and past the farms, and you'll see some cows and sheep out grazing and waterfalls off in the distance. It really is quite lovely, and you can just walk for 20 or 30 minutes if you want, and then resume your journey on the bus, or you could walk it all the way down, as we're doing here, to Trümmelbach Falls, and we're going to take you inside the mountain coming up next. Or you could also walk from Trümmelbach after your visit to the waterfall back to the town of Lauterbrunnen. That'll take you about 30 or 45 minutes. I always find there's something magical and relaxing about walking along the side of a beautiful stream. But how about the magic of walking up a vertical stream? That is a waterfall, climbing a waterfall. Here we go. Prepare yourself. We are going inside the mountain. The valley has 72 waterfalls, but Trümmelbach is by far the most spectacular. It's really the only one that you can walk up, and you actually go up inside the mountain to view the waterfall. It's the most amazing waterfall in the Alps that you'll ever see. The Swiss engineers have built elevators, staircases, and walkways, and viewing platforms to give you this view of this most unusual waterfall. Our genial host guides us along.
Because 204 stairs to heaven.
Oh, okay. That's right. Even after you ride the elevator, you've got more than 200 steps to get to the top. A few level walkways have been carved into the crevasse to make it easier for you to get around, but nearly all of this is natural rock formations. And they built staircase tunnels to get you up higher. There are about a dozen major drops in this waterfall. So it's like looking at 10 or 12 waterfalls in one. And always there's the amazing carved and sculptured rock cliff face. This booming water pounding through. Over millennia, this huge barrage of water had carved out a narrow, vertical, twisted canyon into the rock face of the cliff. And, well, the engineers thought this is an interesting opportunity to let people get up in there and be inside the waterfall itself. It's water that's coming down from the Aletsch Glacier. It's coming down from the Jungfrau Mountain. This is one of the main drains for the Eiger, the Monk, and the Jungfrau, those three big peaks that are up at the Jungfrau Massif. And yes, you might get a little bit wet from the spray as you're standing close to the edge and looking at this thundering waterfall coming down. But that's okay, just protect your camera and you're not going to get drenched. They've designed it so that you can just get a little bit of the feeling of being inside a waterfall. And they put some colorful lights in here, which might seem a little tacky. It's not really a disco ball spinning around, but it does add some welcome color to this otherwise gray stone and gray water. So that's all part of the fun. Now when you're coming down, you could take the elevator halfway back down to the bottom or walk all the way down, and that's a better strategy because you'll see parts of the lower falls that you would have missed otherwise, and more of these wonderful views from the Trümmelbach looking into Lauterbrunnen Valley. On our way down, the park was closing already, so we had no choice. The elevator shut down and we had to walk all the way back down, and we're glad we did. The engineers designed these interior tunnels and walkways so that you get vistas along the way. And then it opens up and you can stand at the ledge and look down, look up, see the water spraying around. And you look at it on the way up, you turn around and you come walking back down again and get different angles, different viewpoints. This is a very easy visit, and when finished you just walk back to the road to the bus stop and catch the next bus coming through. Now here's a little tip. You might check the bus schedules that are posted on the board before you go into the waterfall so that you can time your visit. Buses are not all that frequent, and if you know when the next bus is coming, and you can then linger in the waterfall or hustle out a little bit in order to catch that bus. Otherwise you might have to sit around and wait for half an hour at the bus stop for a bus to come through. You could also very easily walk from Trümmelbach back down to Lauterbrunnen town. There's a nice riverside trail that will take you about 45 minutes, a very easy level stroll through beautiful scenery. Or you can just walk along the roadway, and that'll be quicker, maybe 20 to 30 minutes to walk from Trümmelbach to Lauterbrunnen. So take your pick, but if you've timed it right, the bus arrives and it'll pick you up and bring you back to the town of Lauterbrunnen, which is only about a 10-minute bus ride from this point. Arriving at the Lauterbrunnen rail station, you can catch the final leg of your day's adventure, which is another scenic ride back to Interlaken, which only takes about 20 minutes. And by now your eyeballs are full of scenery from the day's adventures, but be sure to look out the window on this train ride and you'll enjoy views of the stream and quick views back into the valley. And you'll get home by late afternoon from your big day's adventure, leaving you some time for a walk through town and dinner and some more adventures in the city. We have many other movies for you about the Swiss mountains and towns, with tips for you on how to get the most out of your visit to these wonderful sites. Bringing you to Zermatt and Zurich, Lucerne and Lugano. Be sure to look for them in our collection.